Have you ever watched a shooting star streak across the night sky, brilliant and unforgettable, only to vanish in a blink? The world of football, for all its roaring stadiums and global fanfare, has its share of shooting stars too. Players, whose incandescent talent promises to light up the game for years, only to be extinguished far too soon. We remember the legends, the Pelés, the Maradonas, the Messis, whose names are etched into the very fabric of the sport. But what about those who flickered with equal intensity, whose potential burned just as brightly, yet whose stories ended, not in glory but in a quiet, almost unsettling fade to black? Think for a moment about the sheer fragility of a professional athlete's career. Years of relentless training, unwavering dedication, and sacrifice, all balanced on the knife edge of physical well-being. One mistimed tackle, one unlucky landing, one cruel twist of fate, and everything can be irrevocably altered. We celebrate the triumphs, the breathtaking goals, the gravity-defying saves, but rarely do we truly delve into the human cost when those dreams are shattered. We see the highlight reels, but we seldom witness the long, lonely road to recovery, the mental battles fought in the shadows, the crushing weight of unfulfilled promise. This is not just another football story. It's a story about Luke Nealis, a name that might not resonate with every modern football fan, but one that evokes a particular kind of reverence among those who witnessed his brilliance firsthand. Nealis wasn't just a goal scorer, he was an artist, on the pitch, a master of technique, a player who seemed to glide effortlessly past defenders, leaving them grasping at air. He was a striker who could conjure magic from the seemingly impossible, a player who possessed an almost preternatural understanding of the game. He was, by all accounts, destined for greatness. Then, in the autumn of 2000, just weeks after joining Aston Villa in the English Premier League, disaster struck. A horrific leg break, a double fracture so severe it shocked the football world, brought his career to a screeching halt. But the physical injury, devastating as it was only part of the story. What followed was a descent into depression, a withdrawal from the public eye, a disappearance so complete it left many wondering what had become of the once celebrated striker. His story raises a profound question. How does someone with so much talent, so much potential, simply vanish? We often focus on the external factors that contribute to an athlete's success or failure. The training regimes, the tactical formations, the team dynamics. But what about the internal landscape? The psychological resilience required to cope with the immense pressure, the constant scrutiny, the ever-present threat of injury. What happens when that inner strength is tested to its breaking point? What resources are available to help athletes navigate the emotional minefield that can accompany a career-ending injury? This exploration into the story of Luke Nealis is not simply about revisiting a tragic event in football history. It's about examining the broader issues of mental health, the challenges of transitioning out of professional sports, and the societal pressures that can contribute to an athlete's downfall. It's about understanding the human being behind the footballer, the individual who grapples with loss, disappointment, and the struggle to redefine their identity in the face of unforeseen circumstances. It's about remembering the shooting star, not just for its brief moment of brilliance, but for the lessons we can learn from its untimely fade. To truly appreciate the tragedy of Luke Nealis' abrupt exit, it's vital to understand the ecosystem that nurtured his early promise. The landscape of Belgian football in the 1990s was a fascinating blend of tactical discipline and individual flair, a fertile ground for developing technically gifted players. Unlike the more overtly physical styles prevalent in England or Italy at the time, the Belgian league emphasized ball control, passing accuracy, and creative movement. This environment allowed Nealis to hone his skills, refine his touch, and cultivate the attacking instincts that would later make him such a captivating player to watch. His rise through the ranks was meteoric. From his early days at Winterslag to his breakthrough at Anderlecht, He demonstrated a rare combination of precision finishing and inventive playmaking. He wasn't just a scorer of goals. He was an architect of attacking moves, capable of unlocking defenses with a perfectly weighted pass or a mesmerizing dribble. Think of him as a chess grandmaster on the pitch, always several moves ahead, anticipating the opponent's reactions and exploiting their weaknesses with calculated brilliance. This cerebral approach, coupled with his exceptional athleticism, made him a nightmare for defenders. Furthermore, the culture surrounding football in Belgium during that era played a significant role in shaping his career. There was a genuine appreciation for skillful attacking football, a willingness to celebrate the artistry of the game rather than simply focusing on the end result. This created a supportive atmosphere for players like Nilis, allowing them to express themselves freely and take risks without fear of undue criticism. Contrast this to the often unforgiving media scrutiny in some of the larger European leagues, where every mistake is dissected and magnified, and you can begin to understand the advantages Nilis enjoyed in his formative years. However, this nurturing environment also came with its own set of pressures. The expectations placed on young Belgian talents were immense, particularly as the national team began to emerge as a force on the international stage. Nilis was seen as one of the key figures who could lead Belgium to glory, a burden that weighed heavily on his shoulders. This pressure, combined with the inherent uncertainties of a professional football career, created a volatile mix that would ultimately contribute to his later struggles. Consider, too, the specific tactical nuances of the teams he played for. At both Anderlecht and PSV Eindhoven, he was given the freedom to roam across the attacking line, to express his creativity and exploit the spaces between defenders. He wasn't confined to a rigid positional role. Instead, he was encouraged to improvise, to trust his instincts, and to make the unpredictable plays that often proved to be decisive. This tactical flexibility allowed him to flourish, to develop a unique style of play that set him apart from his peers. Yet, this freedom also demanded a high level of tactical awareness and understanding. Nilis had to be able to read the game, to anticipate the movements of his teammates, and to make split-second decisions that would maximize the team's attacking potential. This required not only technical skill, but also a deep understanding of the game's strategic complexities. The seeds of his later struggles, perhaps, were sown in the very factors that contributed to his early success. The weight of expectation, the pressure to perform, the inherent fragility of a career built on physical prowess. All these elements conspired to create a perfect storm that would ultimately lead to his downfall. The essence of Luc Nilis's game resided in his remarkable ability to blend power with finesse, a trait that elevated him beyond the typical striker. He wasn't simply a poacher, lurking in the box for tap-ins. He was a complete forward, capable of scoring from any angle, with either foot and even with his head. His goals weren't just statistics, they were miniature works of art, each one a testament to his exceptional skill and creativity. Consider his signature move, a subtle feint to unbalance the defender, followed by a lightning-fast turn and a thunderous shot that would leave goalkeepers grasping at thin air. It was a move that he perfected over years of relentless practice, a move that became synonymous with his name. Beyond his individual brilliance, Nilis possessed an uncanny understanding of spatial awareness, a quality that allowed him to anticipate the movements of his teammates and exploit the vulnerabilities in the opposing defense. He wasn't simply running around aimlessly. He was constantly analyzing the game, calculating the angles, and positioning himself to receive the ball in the most advantageous position. Think of him as a conductor of an orchestra, orchestrating the attacking movements of his team with a subtle wave of his foot. This tactical intelligence, coupled with his exceptional technical ability, made him a truly formidable opponent. Furthermore, his partnership with Ruud van Nistelrooy at PSV Eindhoven stands as a testament to his selflessness and adaptability. While Van Nistelrooy garnered much of the attention for his prolific goal-scoring record, Nilus often played a supporting role, creating opportunities for his teammate and sacrificing his own scoring chances for the benefit of the team. This willingness to put the team first, to prioritize collective success over individual glory, speaks volumes about his character and his understanding of the game. It's a rare quality in a sport often dominated by ego and self-promotion. Take, for instance, their telepathic connection on the field. Nilus could thread a needle with a pass, placing the ball perfectly into Van Nistelrooy's path, often without even looking. It was as if they shared a mental link, an intuitive understanding of each other's movements and intentions. This synergy, this unspoken connection, was a key factor in PSV's success during that period, propelling them to multiple league titles and establishing them as a force to be reckoned with in European football. It's also worth examining his composure under pressure. In high-stakes matches, when the tension was palpable and the weight of expectation was at its greatest, Nilus consistently delivered. He had a knack for scoring crucial goals, for making the decisive plays that would swing the momentum of the game in his team's favor. This ability to remain calm and focused in the face of adversity is a hallmark of true champions, a quality that separates the great players from the merely good. Consequently, his influence extended beyond the pitch. He was a role model for aspiring footballers, a symbol of dedication, hard work, and unwavering belief in one's own abilities. Young players would watch him in awe, marveling at his skill, his creativity, and his unwavering determination. He inspired them to dream big, to push themselves to their limits, and to strive for excellence in everything they did. His legacy, even though tragically cut short, continues to resonate with those who witnessed his brilliance firsthand. The repercussions of Nilus's injury extended beyond the immediate loss to Aston Villa. It precipitated a ripple effect throughout his personal and professional life, touching areas few fans likely considered. It's crucial to remember that for many athletes, their sport isn't simply a job. It's their identity, their primary source of validation, and the framework around which their entire existence is structured. When that framework collapses, the resulting void can be devastating. Consider the sudden absence of routine, the daily training sessions, the team camaraderie, the adrenaline rush of competition. These elements, once constants, vanish overnight, leaving a gaping hole in the athlete's daily life. Moreover, the psychological impact of such a career-ending injury can be profound. Athletes often grapple with feelings of grief, loss, and a sense of diminished self-worth. They may struggle to redefine themselves outside the context of their sport, to find new sources of meaning and purpose. The transition from celebrated athlete to former player can be jarring, particularly when it's forced upon them prematurely. Think of the loss of status, the diminished public recognition, and the sudden irrelevance in a world that once hung on their every move. Compounding these challenges is the potential for financial insecurity. While some athletes are fortunate enough to have amassed substantial wealth during their careers, others may find themselves struggling to make ends meet, particularly if they haven't adequately prepared for life after sports. The loss of income, coupled with the ongoing medical expenses associated with their injury, can create a significant financial strain, adding further stress to an already difficult situation. Now, picture the pressure this places on their families who may have relied on the athlete's income and status for their own well-being. An additional layer of complexity comes from the societal expectations placed on athletes, particularly male athletes, to be strong, resilient, and emotionally stoic. This can make it difficult for them to seek help or express their vulnerability, leading to a downward spiral of isolation and depression. The stigma surrounding mental health issues in sports often prevents athletes from accessing the support they need, leaving them to suffer in silence. Reflect, if you will, on the culture of toughing it out that pervades many sporting environments. a culture that can discourage athletes from admitting weakness or seeking help. Correspondingly, the media's portrayal of injured athletes can exacerbate their struggles. While some outlets offer sympathetic coverage, others may sensationalize the injury, focusing on the negative aspects and neglecting the human element. This constant scrutiny can add to the athlete's stress and anxiety, making it even more difficult for them to cope with their situation. Imagine having your darkest moments broadcast for public consumption, your every move dissected and analyzed by commentators and fans alike. The absence of adequate support systems within professional sports organizations is also a significant factor. While some teams and leagues are beginning to address the issue of mental health, many still lack the resources and expertise to provide comprehensive support to injured athletes. This can leave athletes feeling abandoned and unsupported, particularly during the crucial early stages of their recovery. Consider the lack of readily available counseling services, career transition programs, and financial planning assistance that could help athletes navigate this challenging period. Reflecting on this journey so far, a distinct picture emerges, not of a simple rise and fall, but of a complex interplay between talent, circumstance, and the often unseen burdens of professional sport. We've navigated the landscape that cultivated a prodigious ability, witnessed the manifestation of that ability in breathtaking displays of skill, and considered the shattering impact of its sudden curtailment. It's a narrative far richer than a mere sports biography. It's a study in human vulnerability under the intense glare of public expectation. Think of it as a tapestry, intricately woven with threads of dedication, opportunity, and the ever-present risk inherent in a pursuit defined by physical prowess. Each thread represents a different facet of the story, from the nurturing environment that fostered early development to the tactical nuances that allowed his talents to flourish. And yet, running through the entire design is a thread of fragility, a reminder of the precariousness of a career built on the foundation of physical well-being. The echoes of the roar of the crowd begin to fade, replaced by the quiet introspection that follows a sudden, unforeseen departure. We've explored not just the mechanics of the game, but the mechanics of a life irrevocably altered. It's a shift that demands a re-evaluation of identity, a search for purpose beyond the boundaries of the pitch, and a confrontation with the mental and emotional challenges that often accompany such a transition. Considering the weight of expectation placed upon athletes, the pressures to perform under constant scrutiny, and the potential for devastating setbacks, it becomes clear that their journeys are often fraught with unseen obstacles. The spotlight reveals the triumphs, but it often obscures the struggles, the sacrifices, and the quiet battles fought in the shadows. The narrative extends beyond the playing field, reaching into the very core of what it means to build, lose, and then rebuild a life. Drawing these considerations closer, we find ourselves poised at the edge of a deeper understanding. It's an understanding that transcends the specifics of one individual's story and speaks to the broader human condition. It's a recognition that even the most extraordinary talents are not immune to the vagaries of fate, and that true strength lies not only in physical prowess, but also in the resilience of the human spirit. As we turn towards the final reflection, let us carry with us the weight of these insights, prepared to consider the enduring lessons that can be gleaned from this poignant narrative. The story of Luke Nilis, then, isn't simply a lament for a career cut short, but a potent reminder of the often brittle nature of dreams, particularly those forged in the crucible of elite sport. It compels us to look beyond the dazzling highlights and consider the full spectrum of human experience that lies beneath the surface of athletic achievement. It asks us, what do we, as a society, owe to those who dedicate their lives to entertaining us, and what responsibilities do sporting institutions have in safeguarding their well-being, both during and after their time in the spotlight? Perhaps the most enduring lesson from Nilis's experience lies in the imperative for greater empathy and understanding. It's easy to marvel at the superhuman feats of athletes, to celebrate their victories and lament their defeats as if they were characters in a grand narrative. But it's far more difficult, and arguably far more important, to recognize them as individuals, with their own vulnerabilities, insecurities, and struggles. To truly appreciate their accomplishments, we must acknowledge the human cost that often accompanies them. The sacrifices made, the pressures endured, and the potential for devastating loss. Furthermore, Nilas's story underscores the urgent need for a paradigm shift in how we approach mental health within the sporting world. The culture of stoicism and the pressure to maintain a facade of invincibility can prevent athletes from seeking the help they need, leading to tragic consequences. It's incumbent upon sporting organizations, coaches, and teammates to create a more supportive and understanding environment, one where vulnerability is not seen as a weakness, but as a sign of strength. Resources must be readily available, and athletes must be encouraged to prioritize their mental well-being alongside their physical conditioning. In the end, the true legacy of Luke Nilas may not be the goals he scored or the trophies he won, but the questions his story forces us to confront. How do we better support athletes in navigating the challenges of their careers, both on and off the field? How do we create a culture that values their well-being as much as their performance? And how do we ensure that they have the resources and support they need to transition successfully into life after sports? The answers to these questions will not only honor the memory of those who have suffered, but will also pave the way for a more compassionate and sustainable future for all athletes. The roar of the stadium fades, the cameras turn away, and the spotlight shifts elsewhere. But the true practice begins now, in the quiet moments of reflection, in the conscious effort to cultivate empathy, and in the unwavering commitment to building a more supportive and humane sporting world. Let us remember Luke Nilas, not just as a brilliant footballer, but as a reminder of our shared humanity and the enduring power of compassion.